Doubt the Parable. Doubt the Parable is a 2004 play by John Patrick Shanley. Originally staged off-Broadway at the Manhattan Theatre Club on November 23, 2004, the production transferred to the Walter Kerr Theatre on Broadway in March 2005 and closed on July 2, 2006 after 525 performances and 25 previews. The play won the 2005 Pulitzer Prize for Drama and Tony Award for Best Play. In 2008, the play was adapted as a feature film entitled Doubt. It starred Meryl Streep as Sister Aloysius and Philip Seymour Hoffman as Father Flynn. It was nominated for several Academy Awards. Plot. The play is set in the fictional street Nicholas Church School in the Bronx during the fall of 1964. It opens with a sermon by Father Flynn, a beloved and progressive parish priest, addressing the importance of uncertainty that can be a bond as powerful in sustaining a certainty, he says. The school's principal, Sister Aloysius, a rigidly conservative nun vowed to the Order of the Sisters of Charity, insists upon constant vigilance. During a meeting with a younger nun, Sister James, Aloysius reveals a deep mistrust toward her students, her fellow teachers, and society in general. Naive and impressionable, James is easily upset by Aloysius' severe manner and harsh criticism. Sister Aloysius and Father Flynn are put into direct conflict when she learns from Sister James that the priest met one-to-one with Donald Muller, Street Nicholas's first African-American student. Mysterious circumstances lead her to believe that sexual misconduct occurred. In a private meeting purportedly regarding the Christmas pageant, Aloysius, in the presence of Sister James, openly confronts Flynn with her suspicions. He angrily denies wrongdoing, insisting that he was disciplining Donald for drinking altar wine, claiming to have been protecting the boy from harsher punishment. James is relieved by his explanation. Flynn's next sermon is on the evils of gossip. Aloysius, dissatisfied with Flynn's story, meets with Donald's mother, Mrs. Muller. Despite Aloysius' attempts to shock her, Mrs. Muller says she supports her son's relationship with Flynn. She ignores Aloysius' accusations. Before departing, she hints that Donald may be that way, and that her husband may be beating him because of this. Father Flynn eventually threatens to remove Aloysius from her position if she does not back down. Aloysius informs him that she previously phoned the last parish he was assigned to discovering a history of past infringement. After declaring his innocence, the priest begins to plead with her, at which point she blackmails him and demands that he resign immediately, or else she will publicly disgrace him with his history. She leaves the office, disgusted. Flynn calls the bishop to apply for a transfer, where, later, he receives a promotion and is instated as pastor of a nearby parochial school. Learning this, Aloysius reveals to Sister James that the decisive phone call to Flynn's previous parish was a fabrication and she has no evidence of past wrongdoing. As a result, Aloysius is left with ambiguous doubt and the audience is left to wonder if the doubt is in either herself or the church. With no proof that Father Flynn is or is not innocent, the audience is left with its own doubt. Characters. Sister Aloysius Bover, the head nun and principal of St. Nicholas School. Driven by a high sense of duty but rigid and conservative. Father Brendan Flynn, a middle-aged priest. Articulate and personable. Sister James, a young impressionable nun. Enthusiastic but inexperienced teacher. Mrs. Muller, the mother of Donald Muller, the school's first black student. Productions. The New York City production, directed by Doug Hughes, was performed in a one-act performance running approximately 90 minutes. In interviews, the cast said the second act was what took place when the audience left the theatre and began to discuss their differing opinions of the events, some agreeing with Aloysius and others siding with Flynn. Upon publication, Shanley changed the title from Doubt to Doubt a Parable. The four original cast members were Sherry Jones as Sister Aloysius, Brian Fahrenheit, O'Brien as Father Flynn, Heather Golden as her Sister James, and Adrian Lennox as Mrs. Muller. This production had scenic design by John Lee Beatty, costume design by Catherine Zuber, lighting design by Pat Collins, and original music and sound design by David Van Tykeham. In 2006, Eileen Atkins, Ron Eldred, and Gina Malone joined the cast, replacing Jones, O'Brien, and Goldenish respectively. In the fall of 2006, Jones headed the national touring company that consisted of Chris McGarry, Lisa Joyce, and Caroline Stephanie Clay. That won the 2007 Touring Broadway Awards Best Play. The West Coast premiere was directed by Claudia Weil and took place at the Pasadena Playhouse. Another production was staged at Rubicon Theatre Company in Ventura, California in 2010. It was directed by artistic associate Jenny Sullivan and starred Joseph Fugger as Father Flynn and Robin Pisson-Rose as Sister Aloysius. In 2007, it was staged in Venezuela in the Salog Theatre with Elba Escobar, Luigi Sayamana, Mario Oxenford and Beatriz Vasquez. The Australian premiere was mounted at the Sydney Opera House by the Sydney Theatre Company on February 4, 2006. The cast included Alison Bell, Jennifer Flowers and Christopher Garbardi, and was directed by Julia Mayrick. This was followed by the Asian debut of Doubt in Singapore on March 21, 2006 by Action Theatre, directed by Samantha Scott Blackhall, with Noah Samusser as Sister Aloysius, Lim Yuben as Father Flynn and Pam Owe as Sister James. The next production was in the Philippines on June 2, 2006. Doubt ran at the Auckland Theatre Company in New Zealand from March 16 to April 8, 2006, directed by Colin McCall, with Lapham Gaines as Father Flynn, Elizabeth Hawthorne as Sister Aloysius, Kate Pryor as Sister James and Goretti Chadwick as Mrs. Muller. In the Czech Republic, the play was premiered in 2007 by National Theatre Improv with Jaromíra Milová, Jan Novotný, Magdalena Borvá and Eva Salzmanová. In 2012, it was staged by a Czech non-professional theatre group with Andrej Čerpova, Libor Ilovek, Lucy Kuderova, and Martha Kauden-Kisido in the roles. The latter was awarded the Best Czech Non-Professional Drama Performance 2012. The play was staged in the Philippines in 2006 by Atlantis Productions. This production starred Cherie Gill as Sister Aloysius and played at the Carlos P. Romulo Theatre at the RCBC Plaza in June 2006. The play premiered in Britain at the Tricycle Theatre. Directed by Nicholas Kent, starred Deb Amala as Sister Aloysius, Nikki Amikabot as Mrs. Muller, Padraig Delaney as Father Flynn, and Marcella Plunkett as Sister James. The production ran from November 22, 2007 to January 12, 2008. The play was directed by Roman Polanski during its run at the Theatre Habitat in Paris in late 2006. In April 2007, it was staged in Warsaw, Poland by producer Dzięki Toski at Polonia Theatre. A production directed by Mel Hurley with Zimbabwean actors Kevin Hansen and Anne Fisher was staged at Dorchester Arts in Dorset from August 1921 to 2010, supported by the British Council. A production opened in Sydney, Australia, at the Old Fitzroy Theatre on May 12, 2017. The cast: Belinda Gibbons, Sister Aloysius, Matilda Ridgway, Sister James, Damien de Montum as Father Flynn, and Charmaine Bingley, Mrs. Muller, was directed by Dina Dimitriades. Adaptations: a 2008 film adaptation by Miramax stars Meryl Streep as Sister Aloysius, Philip Seymour Hoffman as Father Flynn, Amy Adams as Sister James, and Viola Davis as Mrs. Miller. The name was changed in the film. Production began on December 1, 2007, with playwright John Patrick Shanley directing and Scott Rudin producing. An opera based on the play, commissioned by the Minnesota Opera, premiered in 2013 with music by Douglas J. Cormo to a libretto by Shanley.